Da-na-na-na-na-na. He's a dead man.
Oh, that was so good. I'm glad we recorded that before you told me, because that honestly was a genuine reaction out of me. Anyway. Sorry, this is just too good. Good evening, goblins and ghosts, and welcome to the Sharing Comics Club, the club where we share comics with our friends. We are your ghost hosts, Brooke
and David.
And today, David, what are we reading?
We are reading Deadman, Dark Mansion of Forbidden Love.
Ooh, spooky. Just a little information for you guys. We are going to be taking a 3-month hiatus just because of job stuff. So don't be afraid if you don't see us for a while, and don't be scared when we just randomly pop up. So just a heads up, it will be 3 months, but we should be back. We do have a
backup episode.
A backup episode, so you'll at least get one in November. But do not fret, we'll come back and we'll have some cool stuff coming back.
So, written by Sarah Vaughn with art by Medina, Phil Hester, and Jose Villarrubia. Apparently, when this was coming out, it was released in 3 40-page installments in the prestige format. A prestige format is usually the same as a regular comic, but it has a harder cover. Yes?
So, for those of us who don't know, why is Deadman not as known as other things?
Well, he's not as well known because he's not that popular. But he has appeared in different media, including the later season of the Justice League cartoon, the Justice League Unlimited cartoon, I should say. But when I first saw him, it was in Batman the Brave and the Bold. And so Deadman got to team up with Batman.
That's cool.
And he even had his own shorts when they made this, when they made DC Nation, where they later had the Teen Titans shorts that eventually spun off into Teen Titans Go. Mm-hmm. They had these Deadman shorts where Deadman was this cute little Casper ghost and he hung out with this little crow. They are incredibly adorable, and you can find them on YouTube.
10 out of 10 recommend.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll get more into that once we start the book.
Right.
I'll get more into why Deadman isn't as well known as other characters as we go on in the book.
All right.
And apparently, the creators promoted their take on Deadman as offering a classic gothic romance tale in the style of 60s and 70s romance comics.
I know, love just came out of nowhere, right, David?
Yep. And on that note, let's start the book. So we open on the interior of a mysterious mansion, Glenncourt Manor to be precise, with the narrator telling us how they never wanted to move into a house with history. History means death, death means pain, pain means regret, and regret means attachment. But also, remember, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. And the ghost of a woman in Victorian-looking clothes shrieks, "No!" So it turns out the ghost wasn't the one narrating. It was Berenice, who was in the car with her friend Sam coming back from an antique show. And this was the first antique show that Berenice has been to. And yes, my mind auto-corrected Antiques Show as Antiques Roadshow.
I was just about to ask that, because that happened to me too. I literally was like, I didn't know they wrote about Antiques Roadshow. And I was like, wait a second.
What's funny is that show was always on when I was a kid. I never watched it, but it's just pop culture osmosis where it's oh yeah, Antiques Roadshow, that's a thing.
I always caught it when it was an extreme amount that they were getting, and it was it is $1,000, and it's just oh, I just had this in my attic.
Yep. Anyway, Berenice is happy because she managed to haggle down the price of some vintage suitcases by $30. Berenice mentions how Berenice, recently moved here and became fast friends with Sam. Also, Sam is non-binary and goes by they, them pronouns.
Heck yeah.
Yep. Berenice also mentions how her life here has been quiet, peaceful, and steady, things she is unaccustomed to. And as they drive, Berenice notices Deadman, which is unusual because unlike Danny Phantom, Deadman is always invisible and he can't turn it off. And other people can't see Deadman unless they're magic. So in addition to being a not well-known character, some characters like can't team up with Deadman, or if they do, it's like they don't know he's there. Unless they're magic, like when Deadman was on this team called Justice League Dark. And most of, if not all of those characters could see him.
Talk about being lonely.
I always feel bad for Deadman. Like, just stick him on Justice League Dark. He needs friends.
Yeah, why does he gotta be so alone? I mean, I guess that's the life of a ghost, if you think about it.
I mean, the Justice League exists. The world's crawling with superheroes. He can hang out at the magic bar.
I mean, I guess, but life as a ghost. You're invisible, no one sees you. You try to help as much as you can. Wow, this sounds very familiar.
And I mean, he could hang out with other ghosts, but the only ones coming to mind are the Phantom Stranger and the Spectre, and those guys are kind of dicks.
Yeah.
Spectre more so, but Phantom Stranger, yeah, they're both dicks.
Yikes.
Anyway, so Berenice, she sees dead people.
Gasp.
Anyway, Sam and Berenice drive up and Deadman phases through the house while Berenice watches. She mentions that she's never met another person who can see ghosts, which is funny to me because there's a whole magic community in the DC universe. And as I said before, there's a magic bar. And in fact, I think there's more than one magic bar.
Wait, you're gonna tell me that in the whole DC universe, you have not met one person who could see ghosts? Girl, what kind of life you live in?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Berenice also mentions that Deadman is different from other ghosts that she's seen. She says that he's
different. I can change him.
He doesn't have snow white hair or glowing green eyes, but he can walk through walls, disappear, and fly. So he's much more unique than the other guy. Expect that to be the second of many Danny Phantom jokes to come.
You should have a counter and count how many jokes that pop up in this episode.
Count at home, folks. Turn it into a game.
Turn it into a drinking game. Take a shot
No.
every time you hear.
We don't want to kill our audience, literally. Anyway, Berenice says that Deadman is more active, vibrant, and has a strong connection to the living world. And she also says that death is in the air, and it's ruining her day. So it's less Sixth Sense and more Ghost Town with Ricky Gervais, where she sees dead people, and they annoy her.
I mean,
as the poster says. Anyways, Berenice enters the house and she thinks to herself, okay, just ignore them. They'll ignore me. Done this 1,000 times. But then Deadman tries to fly into Sam and Deadman gets knocked down and Berenice drops her box. What's funny to me is that Sam didn't feel anything, but Deadman is on the floor. And it reminds me of those Looney Tunes episodes, like when Bugs is wrestling that big guy and he tries everything he can to move him, but the big guy just stands there like he's not even doing anything.
Yeah, and Bugs is like going all over his body, like trying to move him.
Yeah. Anyways, while Deadman is picking himself up off the ground, he realized that Berenice saw him. She tries to ignore Deadman and run outside with Sam, but Sam is all, in this weather? Then we see Deadman lunge at Berenice, and then we get a flashback to Berenice's first memory as a baby screaming in her crib, and her parents are trying to calm her down, but it isn't working. At first, they think it was a nightmare, but then Berenice's mom says that it's the house. And then we see a red ghost with no eyes looking like Edvard Munch's The Scream. Yep, that'll do it. That'll make a kid cry. If I saw that, I'd cry.
I would cry at that sight. Like, oh my God. And especially for a baby? Geez, that's traumatizing.
Yep. No. Yeah. Then we see Sam talking to Berenice, and they aren't in the front door. And they aren't by the front door anymore. And Berenice is all, huh? And Sam is all, that's what I've been saying for the past 5 minutes. And Berenice doesn't know what they're talking about. Sam says that Berenice was frantic and that she was here to help someone who called out to her. Berenice does not like this at all. Meanwhile, Deadman is in the back of the room looking at a painting. And I love it because he just looks like he's admiring a piece in a museum.
He's like, ah, yes, art.
I just imagine that since he's a ghost, he just like goes to museums and looks at stuff. It's like, finally, no annoying people, no screaming kids. I can just look at the art in peace.
He's like, and no one knows I'm here, so I won't be bothered. This is great. This is a great day off.
I don't even show up on cameras. It's been so long since I've seen a photo of myself.
Oh no.
Because in
actually,
reality,
you want to know a fun fact about that, actually? A fun Halloween fact? So, you know how, like, it's myth that, like, vampires can't see themselves in the mirror? So it turns out, way back when, mirrors were made of iron and stuff. So that's why vampires couldn't see themselves. But mirrors now, like modern mirrors, aren't made with iron. So actually, if vampires exist today, they would actually finally, after all these years, be able to see themselves. And I'm pretty sure they would scare the shit out of themselves. They'll be like, oh shit, I really look like that? Oh my God. I really let myself go.
I love how your Halloween fact implies that vampires are real.
Listen, they're out there.
I want to believe.
I want to believe.
Is that something you can count on?
I don't know.
Anyways, Sam also explains that they ran into the drawing room, but nobody was there, and that Berenice wasn't herself. Then Berenice's boyfriend, Nathan, walks in, and now that I know about the romance comic origins, I feel like if Nathan shaved, he'd look exactly like one of those guys from the romance comics from the 60s. Like one of those stock, white, blonde-haired guys.
Yeah, when I saw him, I was just like, next. Like I'm more interested in Sam than Nathan.
Yeah. Nathan overheard them and explains, oh, the wind's picking up. It makes the house have strange noises. And sometimes, depending on the angle, that painting can look like someone's here. And Berenice says, I'm sure that's what happened. And then she thinks, definitely not what happened, but I ain't telling Nathan that.
Talk about how to lose a man in one day.
I thought you were gonna go talk about skeletons in the closet.
I mean that too.
Sam asks if Berenice is okay right when the room fills with smoky tendrils and a shadowy figure is in the doorway while Nathan gets a headache. And Berenice is telling herself, okay, it's just a ghost. Just ignore it and it'll go away. They all go away eventually, no matter how dangerous they feel. Except nothing has been working the way it usually does today. Then the ghost says that Berenice should never have come here. You're not wanted. Everything you've built will come crashing down. No one will believe what you see. You'll be alone forever. This house will destroy you. Get out now. And I love Deadman in this because he's like, oh, no, you don't. Hey, get back here. And he chases after it. And wait a minute. Wants to get her out of the house. Old Man Jenkins, it was you the whole time. You were in on it with Captain Cutler in a real estate scam to scare people away and get the land for cheap.
Ruh-roh. Do we get a Scooby snack for that?
Oh, I wish. Especially since they come in a variety of flavors.
They do. I want a Scooby snack. Comment down below if you want a Scooby snack.
And what flavor. Anyways, Nathan's headache is getting worse, so he asks Berenice to help him back to the study. Just Berenice. Berenice tells Sam to wait in one of the family rooms, and she says she'll find them later. Berenice thinks about how the past 2 years with Nathan have been so easy, but relationships are easier in freshly built apartment complexes and get a bit trickier when your boyfriend's uncle dies and leaves him a mansion where ghosts are just dying to get in. I'm knocking these puns out of the park.
I gotta say, you're doing a really good job. Be very punny today.
Actually, I'm knocking them out of the yard. The graveyard!
The graveyard!
Berenice then exposits that since they moved here, Nathan's headaches have gotten worse. Nathan says that he's just been pushing himself too hard with writing his new book. Berenice doesn't want to say ghosts, but she does say that it's been happening for months and that it's an old house, how it could have mold or dust. The house is old, so who knows what's in the walls. And she doesn't think it's a good idea for him to stay here. Then she drops Nathan off in front of his study with the totally not suspicious and evil looking door.
Totally not something to check out. Just no.
I mean,
totally normal.
It looks like the door to a medieval torture room.
Which, if you know from video games, is a door you want to walk into because you'll get a secret either quest or item.
Or it's a boss room.
That too.
Anyway, he says he's feeling better already, but he has to finish his chapter. Berenice asks if she'll see him before she falls asleep. Nathan says he hopes so, but it looks like it'll be another long night, and then they kiss. All the while, Berenice is conflicted about telling Nathan the truth and how if she did, would he look at her differently? Would he leave her? Would he be ashamed of ever loving her?
Gross. Ew, love.
She also mentions how whenever she tries to look for a job, Nathan tells her they'll be moving out soon anyway, so there's no point, even though they've been here for months.
Red flag.
Yep. But that's given Berenice a lot of time to get acquainted with the house, and it hasn't been haunted like this up until right now. So she's wondering why it's happening now and what could generate this much activity, and what she can do to get her life back to the way it was about an hour ago. So she runs to the front door to see Deadman trying to punch his way out to no avail. Okay, punching didn't work. Maybe if I shoulder charge. Ow! Okay, that didn't work. Ghostly wail? Wait, wrong ghost hero.
Quick, maybe using someone's body will work.
Hang on to that. She calls out to Sam and finds them admiring the furniture in one of the rooms. And I love how Sam is an antiques nerd and they're just in awe because the whole house has been intact for 150 years. And they say, "You live in a museum, Berenice. Every night is a night at the museum."
Where things come to life at night.
Yep. And Berenice asks, "Could you live here?" And Sam is all, "Nah, I like to be cozy. And this house is definitely not that." But Sam is stoked to be able to visit because Glenncourt Manor has never been open to visitors. Berenice jokes that Sam is only friends with her to look at the furniture, and Sam jokes and says, "You got me."
Yeah, you got me.
Sam then shows Berenice the box she dropped, and the bowl inside was smashed when it hit the ground. Sam says they think they got all the pieces, but I don't think it's spilled out in the earlier panels. I think the box was wrapped up, but I guess it just wasn't like stuffed with like any protective paper or anything, like not wrapping paper.
Tissue paper?
Yeah, cushion paper.
It might have been a sudden like drop she did that like and nothing could save it from there.
Yeah, and it just wasn't filled with the paper or any styrofoam or anything to cushion it.
Yeah.
Anyways, Berenice was so excited about getting it because she found it in the Korean section of the antique show, and her grandma had a collection of bowls that go back to the Joseon period. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry I butchered it. I don't know Korean. I can barely speak English.
That is true. I've heard it myself. He can barely speak English.
I can barely make the words good, and I decided to make a podcast.
Where all you do is talk?
Yeah. Anyway, the bowl reminded Berenice of her grandma, and I thought it was sweet because she saw it. When she saw it, it wasn't that it was expensive or rare or anything. She just felt happy when she touched it. But now it broke, and she's like me if I ever damage something I collect. She's all, "And now look what I've done." And again, like me, I'm just like, "Oh my God, I put a tiny tear in my comic. I'm a monster."
I will listen. It happens. It's okay. You'll survive. It's okay.
And just like Brooke, Sam is sweet and tells her not to beat herself up about it. And as they're talking, the shadow ghost comes back and Berenice tries to ignore it. She takes a deep breath and it looks like the ghost starts to fade back because the text shrinks. And that's like a thing in comics they do to show someone being like quieter.
Mm-hmm.
But then Deadman shows back up and is all, oh, no, you don't. Didn't I tell you to leave everyone alone? And I love it because, like, it's been a while since I've, like, seen Deadman. And it's, like, just hilarious to me. It's like, oh, Deadman's ready to throw down.
He's ready to just punch first, ask questions later.
Like, oh, you again? You bothering these people? Okay, outside.
Out, out, out. It's like a bad dog. Bad dog, get outside.
So then we're on to the next part, and now we get Deadman's perspective, which is nice. I mean, it's only his name on the cover of the book.
I mean, it's nice that we actually see what's going on in his head, right?
Yeah. Deadman thinks about how he never really identified with the term ghost. Dead, yeah, it's in the name. Murdered, accurate. But to him, the term ghost feels faint, like a fog or an exhale. But he's stronger than that. It's okay, Deadman. You're just living impaired.
Living impaired. I mean, if you got it, haunt it.
Nice.
Woo! Got one for myself. Moving on.
Deadman struggles to... He may not be alive, but he's still kicking. And punching.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Deadman struggles to fight the shadow ghost, and he punches it, but it doesn't really do anything. The other ghost flies off, and Deadman is all like, I miss the days when I could just possess a burglar, walk into the police station, and confess to his crimes. But I guess I am suited to this stuff, too.
I mean, that's just ghouls right there.
Yeah.
Get it?
I was going to say, well, Deadman, who else are we going to call?
This is a very funny episode, ladies and gentlemen, so I just hope you're still with us.
The other ghost also closes the door behind it, and
when boo Felicia.
Anyways.
I'm sorry.
Anyways, Sam is all like, was that a draft? And Deadman explains that something about the house won't just let him walk through the walls. And I love how he phrases it, because he's just like, I just want to be able to walk through walls again. Is that too much to ask?
Apparently so.
So with one power down, Deadman uses his other two to fly and possess Berenice again. And this is like Deadman's, the main thing that he's known for is that he possesses people and is able to use their bodies to like facilitate.
I mean,
justice.
when you're a for lack of a better term, ghost, even though he hates that word, possessing people kind of comes with a job.
Yeah. And he can't like, sadly, he's not the kind of ghost that could just move objects. So it's not like he could just pick up a bad guy's hammer and just whack him in the back of the head and wait for the police to show up.
That's boring.
Yeah. Anyways,
actually, you go first. Sorry, I'll be after that.
No, go ahead.
How long can he possess someone?
I feel like it depends on the writer. And it also depends on who he's trying to possess. Because if they got like a really, really strong will, they might fight him back.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I feel like he can't really possess anyone for like days on end. So I think he can do it for like a couple hours.
Okay.
I remember this one comic actually when he's supposed to be like watching over this one guy, but he wants to like talk to someone as Deadman. So he like gives the guy a couple like sleeping pills to make sure he doesn't like go anywhere while he goes and talks to someone. So it's like, okay, you're there for safekeeping. I'll come pick you up later.
He literally put his body in park.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, Deadman possesses Berenice, and this time we see a different memory of Berenice with her now ex-girlfriend Tala. Berenice apparently saw the ghost of Tala's mom, and Berenice told her about her mother's last wish. Whatever that is, we don't get to see. Tala couldn't handle this and decides it's time for them to break up. So Berenice has a bit more reason not to use her power to talk to ghosts. So it leaves a bad taste in her mouth.
Yeah, a bit of baggage.
Yeah. And while Deadman possesses Berenice, he thinks about how she's open and shut at the same time, but no time to figure out now. He's got a spooky shadow ghost to fight, and he figures if the ghost can open doors, maybe it can escape the mansion. Maybe Deadman can escape now too. So we see Deadman use his acrobatic skill in Berenice's body and slide down the banister in front of Sam. I'll get into more on that later when he explains his origin. Deadman tries to exit, but the barrier is still there, so it's not like he could just put on a human coat and smuggle himself out. Sam rightly asks what's going on, why he's sliding down banisters, and Deadman lies and says he thought he heard a noise. Then Sam holds Berenice's hand and Deadman is just flung out of her body. Sam asks Berenice if she'll tell them what the heck's going on, and it looks like they're about to kiss when Berenice pulls away and says that she's being ridiculous. Sam says if you can't talk about it, I understand. If you feel like you need to lie, I understand, but don't do it by putting yourself down. Berenice thinks that they should call it a night. Sam asks if that's what she wants, and Berenice says yes. Sam leaves with tears in their eyes, but assures Berenice that they're still here, they're just going home. Deadman also explains that when he possesses someone, there's a second when their minds connect, but then they get drowned out by his own thoughts, and it's a solitary feeling afterwards, and he wonders if they feel anything of him. Then Berenice goes to Deadman and says, "You!" And he's all like, "Ah!" And I'm like, "Lady, don't scare the ghost." She's all, "Who are you?"
Does she win a prize for scaring a ghost?
Anyway, she's all, "Who are you?" And Deadman's all, "I'm Boston Brand. I'm here to help." And then she's like, "Well, you've done the opposite. I'm doing the best I can." Same.
Me too.
Another reason why I like Deadman.
I'm just trying to hang out with some cool friends. God.
Well, then go to Monster High. Deadman explains how he sensed someone in trouble, followed the call, and possessed her to try to go talk to her, but didn't realize that the Victorian lady was a dead ghost, and the only way that Deadman can talk to people is if he possesses someone. So, like, Deadman can't really talk to Batman unless he's possessing someone like Alfred.
Which, is it easy to possess Alfred, or?
It's easy to possess Alfred.
No. He's just tired. He's just like, sure, whatever. I don't care. I don't get paid enough for this.
I'm almost positive he'd say the exact same thing.
I know.
I think he'd also add, "I jolly well hope that Mr. Deadman returned my body in the exact condition as he left it."
That's all I ask.
Alfred, what's that weird tattoo on your shoulder? My what? Oh, that was there. Oh, good. Wait, what?
Wait, what? Oh, that was a long time ago. Alfred, you still have the bandage on it. Oh, shut up.
Master Wayne, what happens in Vegas? Anyways, Deadman tells Berenice the only way you could usually talk to people is if he possesses someone, and then Berenice is like, "Oh, that's typical of you dead people to do just whatever you want without permission." And I'm like, that's very insensitive to the living impaired.
That is true, but also that she kind of has a point.
Yeah. And then Deadman's all like, "Can I possess you?" And she's like, "No, obviously no." And then he's all like, "What if I need to get you out of danger?" And she's like, "Still no."
I'd rather be in danger than be possessed. End of story.
Deadman agrees, and then he explains that this place is like a trap and that there's a barrier that's keeping him stuck in the house. Because usually you could just fly in and out, go wherever. Berenice listens to him, and apparently she senses no malice from him, unlike the Shadow. Because apparently she can sense malice too.
I mean, malice in some writing is an evil spirit, and since she could see ghosts, it kind of goes hand in hand.
I think she has like vague empathic powers, kind of like how Raven did in like the first Teen Titans book.
Yeah.
Because like Raven could go, I sense feelings within you. But
how do you get rid of them? Because I don't want them.
Yeah. Actually, I think Raven could have the ability to like take away someone's fear.
Ugh, that'd be nice.
Yeah. But I think she like takes it into herself, so it's got its own issues.
Yeah.
And we know Raven's got her own demons.
Yeah.
Anyways, Deadman asks Berenice if she knows the ghost of the woman from the portrait. Berenice doesn't recognize her, and she hasn't seen her ghost before because, surprisingly, this mansion hasn't been haunted since she's been here. It's only just started tonight.
Conveniently, when they're all there.
Yeah. She thinks Nathan might, but no, she doesn't want to involve him. So they look for records and documents in the up in the spooky attic because, of course, they go in the spooky attic. Why wouldn't you go in the spooky attic?
That's like the first. Listen, I watch enough Supernatural. You go in the spooky attic.
Okay, well, unless you go in the spooky basement.
True.
Anyway, once they're up there, Berenice mentions how Sam would love this, and Deadman asks why you sent them away. And after a quick pronoun correction, Berenice explains that it's complicated and that she wants to protect herself and Sam at the same time, and it's not really working. Probably also just because it's easier because she can see the ghosts, Sam can't, the whole thing. Deadman points out that Sam is pretty well protected since they're resistant to possession. They then notice an old chest that Berenice doesn't recognize ever being there before, because that's a good sign.
Yeah, don't you know? Random objects that just randomly appear. Perfect.
Okay, I think you might want to roll a check here, because it could be a mimic.
I got a natural one.
It eats you.
Dang.
Or no, it wasn't a mimic. You trip and fall and break your neck and you're dead.
This is my 5th character this week.
Okay, time for his brother.
Junior.
Anyway, Deadman thinks to himself how the house is messing with them, which is not a good sentence, and how he felt the air change, like he knows something is going to happen. Not good.
Not good at all.
Turns out the ghost lady is named Adelia Ruskin, and she was alive in the 1800s. So then they just look at each other and then they start calling out, Adelia, you there? Telephone. I don't think those were invented yet. Singing telegram.
Well, this is a singing telegram. Please tell me you know where that's from. It's from Clue.
Oh. Anyways, Deadman and Berenice try to draw her out by using something that she owned from the trunk. And they find a ring and Berenice puts it on. Deadman asks if it's hair, and I'm not sure if he means that it's hair in place of the jewel, or if that cross-hatching around the whole ring is made of hair. Either way, kind of icky for 100-year-old hair.
Ew, yeah, gross. Wouldn't it be like tethered and like disgusting?
Probably. You know it doesn't smell good.
No. Why would you put it on your finger?
It's called the ghost. And as Berenice calls Adelia when she puts the ring on, she appears. They ask her if she needs any help, but she doesn't remember anything. But she does say, the darkness. I can feel it. Again, just crossing off every box of not good.
Yeah, we're scratching it off on my bingo card.
Yeah. Deadman tries to reassure her. Sadly, he does not give her a copy of the handbook for the recently deceased from Beetlejuice.
Aw, man.
10 things to know about being dead. Exorcists hate these 9 things. Exorcists hate him. These 9 tricks on how to haunt your house.
10 ways to move an object.
Yeah. Anyways, Deadman says that there are plenty of reasons for ghosts to linger. Some stay by choice, but others can't leave. And since the house won't let Deadman leave, it's safe to assume that the house is holding Adelia back too. Berenice then senses something, and a huge wind sweeps through the attic, sending papers flying everywhere. But when it's over, Adelia and Deadman are gone. Just when Deadman thinks, what's there to be afraid of when you're already dead? And I can name a couple of entities in the DC universe. Number 1, Raven's dad.
Perfect father award.
Perfect worst father. He's the perfect example of the worst father. Anyway, so Deadman and Adelia are in a dark void, and Deadman muses how he doesn't know if there's a heaven or a hell. And I feel like he does, because like of all the other comics he's been in.
Mm-hmm.
And I am like 90% sure he's met this one character called the Demon, who, spoiler alert, is from hell.
True.
But whatever. So he asks Adelia where they are, and she says that she's never known the answer to that. Deadman wonders if this is where the shadow ghost is from, and Adelia says that she can sense that it's searching for her even though she's never seen it. She asks if Deadman knew her and if he's like her. Deadman introduces himself as Boston Brand, and he says, if by like you mean dead and stuck in a haunted mansion, then yeah, sure. And Adelia then like realizes, oh, yeah, I'm dead. Oh, and she's all sad. And then he tries Deadman suggests to view her memories to see if that can help. And he moves in like he's about to kiss her, and then they like merge for a second.
I mean, that's a interesting makeout, I guess.
That's a hell of a commitment right there.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is how Skulker and Technus became Skulk Tech.
I mean, he technically doesn't go in for a kiss. It's like he headbutts her.
Pretty much. It's like he's possessing her, but she's also a ghost. I don't think that's how he usually does it, but like I've never really seen Deadman interact with another ghost before, so.
Right.
Anyways, while he like looks at her memories, we see her modeling for the portrait, her getting married, her husband building the manor, and her own murder by knife. Understandably, when she remembers this, Adelia freaks out. Deadman asks her if she knows who did it, if she had any enemies, but she can't remember. And Deadman says, it's okay to feel sad sometimes. Like from the Fairly Odd Parents episode. But she's not sad. She's angry she's been murdered, which is a good reason to be angry, let's be honest.
Yeah, very much so.
She says anytime that she tries to remember, she feels herself slipping further and further away, and she feels caged by death and time. And she asks Boston if he feels it too. Deadman explains that he isn't here for the same reason she is, and then he refreshingly gives his own origin in a single sentence. He was an acrobat who got shot in the middle of his trapeze act. No, he's not related to Nightwing. He is not Nightwing's dad.
Oh.
But there is this one book where time gets all screwed up, and Deadman has a book with Nightwing in that different warped timeline.
Okay.
So it's Deadman and the Flying Graysons. But anyway, what Deadman doesn't say is that the guy that shot him had a hook for a hand.
Hook man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hook for you, am I right?
And if I remember right from the comics, when Deadman was shot, it was from the crowd, and the guy with a hook for a hand had like a rifle or a shotgun or something. And I'm only like now realizing, the hell did no one notice that?
People were
so the acrobat who saw it on the way down from who knows how far away.
They were so enthralled by the performance.
Yes. What Deadman doesn't say is that his costume was the Deadman costume that he's wearing. And he performed as Deadman because he did death-defying stunts. Except that one time, but it wasn't really the stunt's fault.
I mean, that he really did death-defying.
No, he didn't defy death. He died.
No, he defined it.
Oh. Anyway, since he died in his Deadman outfit, that's his clothes as a ghost. So that chalky white face, that's just a mask.
So it is true. You die. Your ghost outfit is the outfit that you die in.
And if you die in the game, you die for real.
Oh, God.
But yeah, after Deadman died, he was actually recruited by this Hindu goddess, Ramakrishna, which is a bastardization of a real Hindu goddess I couldn't find the name of. I found it once, I couldn't find it again. So Deadman both A, acts as Ramakrishna's agent of justice, and B, searches to find the identity of his killer, the Hook. And in fact, apparently he does in the comic about this team called the Forever People. Yes, kind of like the Eternals. And in fact, they were made by the same guy, Jack Kirby.
Well, at least they're kind of the same people, I guess.
Yeah. Anyway, back on track. Adelia asks Deadman how long ago it was since he was killed, and he admits he can't remember and he feels like he's always been dead. And I'm like, no, Deadman, that's not death. That's you being a comic book character and then making a fun jab at how he's been around since the 60s or 70s.
He's been a while. He's been around for a while now.
He's been around the block for a while and haunted it.
And haunted it, yeah.
Adelia says that she feels a lot more clear and more alive with Deadman around. Meanwhile, Deadman feels more ghostly and questioning everything when he's around Adelia.
Yep.
She asks what he's thinking, and Deadman lies and says that Berenice is the key to getting them out of here, but he's not sure how long that might take, and, well, the living don't live forever. And I mean, like, it's not like you have a bunch of superheroes you were on a team with you can call. Hint, hint.
One wink.
Anyway, with Adelia's help, they snap back to reality. And Deadman realizes that this is how a ghost can move through the house without opening doors. So
it's like it's like the monster house.
Oh, yes. More on that later. So they appear in front of Berenice looking at some stuff from Adelia's trunk. And she's all like, yeah, you scared me. Where have you been? It's been days. And Deadman's like, days? And she has been calling out to them and even kept Adelia's ring on. And I love how smug Deadman is when he goes, so you do care.
You care about me, don't you?
You care. You care. You were ignoring me before, but you care. Admit it.
It's like that episode of SpongeBob where it's like, you like Krabby Patties, don't you, Squidward?
Pretty much. Berenice also notes that in the days that they've been gone, the shadow hasn't come back either. And she tells us what she's learned about Adelia. Adelia married the first owner of Glenncourt Manor, Edward Ruskin. She has very good taste in poetry. She was going to send the hair ring to her mother, but she probably died before that could happen.
Yikes.
And right when Berenice mentions about a receipt, a golden pulse wave shoots out of the house and hits our two ghosts in the process. Deadman can't hear anything, but he can feel Adelia scream. And the writing's a little confusing here. I think he's saying that the pulse wave was the cry for help he sensed in the first place, or Adelia's screaming that he can just feel is the thing he felt was the cry for help. I'm not sure. I think he's saying Adelia like screaming without being able to hear it was it. I'm not sure. And he describes it as the true connection of the dead, a tie that can cross realities. Berenice asks if they're okay, and Nathan suddenly walks in. Nathan notices the stuff on the floor, and Berenice lies and says that maybe Sam would be interested in this stuff. And I didn't realize it the first time I read it, but now it just feels so obvious how jealous Nathan is of Sam.
Oh, spicy.
And because Berenice mentions them, Nathan is all, oh dear, I haven't been around much, have I? He says he's sorry, but he's so close to finishing his draft. And Berenice is all, yeah, no, cool, I understand. Don't look at the ghosts. I mean, what ghosts?
Yeah, don't worry. We're just like trying to get the ghosts. Yeah, no, what do you mean? Yeah, ghosts. I meant host.
So before he leaves, he says that he wants to see her later this evening because he has something to tell her. So once he's gone, Berenice apologizes to the ghosts and asks if they're okay. She asks if the shadow is coming back, and Deadman doesn't think so because that didn't happen the last time the shadow appeared. Berenice asks Adelia if Adelia has always been here, why hasn't she seen her? And Adelia only remembers like bits and pieces from different times. Berenice says that she's never sensed Adelia in the months that she's lived here and comes to the conclusion that something has kept the activity dormant. And while Berenice appreciated the quiet, now she realizes it's because something is very, very wrong. So Berenice is all, okay, let's get to the bottom of this. I'm just going to grab my stuff. And when she goes into the bedroom, the ghostly duo hang back in the doorway. And Berenice asks, you all right? You're kind of creeping me out. And turns out there's a barrier around the bedroom. Nathan told her that the bedroom wasn't built until the 20s and isn't a part of the original house, so maybe that has something to do with it. We also stopped by the spooky door to Nathan's study. Still spooky.
Still spooky.
And Berenice is all, should I leave a note? And Deadman is like me and is all, why not speak to him like a person? That's a novel idea. She says, Nathan and I have a rule, but it's really just Nathan's rule, that his study is off limits, even when they were in the city.
That's not suspicious at all.
Yeah, and it's not like, and do you have any rules? No. So it's not really your and his rule. It's really just his rule, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyways, Berenice decides to leave anyway, since he never notices when she's gone anyhow, because that's the sign of a healthy relationship.
Yep, totally.
So she decides to leave and go into town to find any records that might help and asks the ghost to stay safe while she's gone. And Deadman points out the irony that he's the hero, but now he needs saving. Berenice talks about how one of the reasons why she wanted to move to Glenncourt was the nature, because she doesn't sense any regret or lingering pain in the woods. I guess apparently she hasn't been to any woods that have had murders in them, I guess, whatever.
Which, again, how are you in this universe and not come across a murder forest?
Yeah, I mean, not just the fact that people do that, but like, it's a DC universe.
Exactly. So how could you not come across forests with dead people in it?
Anyways, as she describes it, life, death, nature simply is. Humans are another story.
I don't blame her there.
I mean, yes, but also like, we're all just people, man. We all gotta live with it.
True.
So Berenice goes to her local library to find answers. And she finds out that Adelia and her husband Edward spent the wedding night in the mansion while the East Wing was finished, the West Wing was in the final stages of completion, and that night Adelia disappeared. Since there was no body nor a sign of foul play, investigators were stumped. And I mean, like, it's not like the rich white guy in the 1800s would get blamed.
Yeah. Why would he?
That really muttons my chops. She's probably off being a woman somewhere.
Oh, a woman. No wonder why
woman.
A woman. No wonder why she disappeared.
She was off with her woman problems and her hysteria.
And her hysterics.
She probably went off to have a makeover somewhere. Harump, harump, harump. Anyways, Edward left the house in 1876, and the house has been passed from owner to owner ever since. And there's no mention of Adelia's ghost in any of the local books, and no mention of any magic spells that hurt ghosts in any of the books. And I'm at the same time surprised, but also not surprised. Like, I'm not surprised because, like, yeah, the ghost that no one can see, I'm sure that's going to be in all the books.
Yeah.
But also, like, it's the DC universe.
Oh, I haven't heard of this before.
One of Deadman's colleagues from Justice League Dark is Zatanna, who has a traveling magic show where she does real magic.
I mean, hell, that's one way to get people's attention.
Anyways, Berenice points out the obvious idea that Edward probably killed Adelia, but since he's dead, and without proof or the truth, Adelia might never get the closure she needs to let go.
She just wants to move on, and I don't blame her.
I mean, literally.
Yeah.
While walking, she passes Sam's antique store, and Berenice reveals that she hasn't spoken to Sam since the night Deadman showed up, and it's, as she said before, it's been days. Berenice also takes a moment to reflect on her behavior and admits that she holds back the truth and pushes people away when they get too close to who she really is. And that doesn't sound like a great friend.
Mm-mm.
She wonders what Sam thinks of her now, so she goes in and sees Sam after they made a sale. Berenice asks how business has been. Sam says great, and then Berenice admits that she didn't like how she left things with Sam that night. Sam says that they didn't either, and how they've had to say goodbye to a lot of friends since coming out as non-binary. But Berenice accepts them as they are, and Sam accepts Berenice as she is. Berenice wants to believe Sam, and then Sam pulls out a box for her, so Berenice opens it, and turns out they fixed the bowl for her.
Which is, I think, is the cutest thing ever.
It's such the sweetest thing. It's so nice. Sam is so nice.
Sam is so nice.
Berenice says that she had shattered this bowl to pieces and still senses happiness when she touches it. And she starts crying and hugs Sam. Berenice then sees an image of her kissing Sam, and her face in the next panel is hilarious. She asks, "What was that?" But her face says, "The fuck was that?" Berenice is going to leave, and Sam offers to drive her back. So she takes them up on it, since she's going to ask for Sam's help with the mystery. And Nathan's there waiting for them at the front door, and Deadman tattles, saying he's been waiting there for a while.
That's weird.
Yeah. Also, good Deadman. He's got the red suit. He knows how to spot red flags.
Yeah, he does.
Ghost before bros. Anyway, Sam asks if Nathan wants them to leave, but Nathan encourages them to stay. And Nathan tells Berenice he finished his book and they can leave as soon as they find a new apartment. And then he gets down on one knee and proposes to her, which again, now that I'm reading this, is like, oh, hey, Sam, sure, stay while I propose to my girlfriend in front of you.
In front of you, so you can see I have the upper hand.
And it's like he thinks he's doing like a power move, but really he's just like showing how insecure he is.
Facts.
Oh, yeah, you want to hang out with my girlfriend? Fine, I'm going to propose to her in front of you. How about that? That'll show you. And Sam's like, okay, I'm just here, man.
Good for you. I'm just vibing.
Anyway, once Nathan proposes, the wind picks up, the house starts shaking, the walls were quaking, but they weren't making it. And also, for an added rhyme, Nathan's head starts aching.
Which, good, weirdo.
And the Shadow's voice tells Berenice that she doesn't know how love can kill, to leave before it's too late, and that if she says yes, she dies. Sam is trying their best to get everything under control and get Nathan some help because he's obviously in pain. Then they go up to Berenice and ask her what's happening. Berenice asks, do you feel it, Sam? Do you feel the darkness growing stronger? And I'm just like, oh, I don't know what Sam was expecting to hear, but I know they definitely didn't want to hear that.
That was not something I would want to hear either.
As soon as I hear that, I'm like, okay, break window, get everyone out.
Leave this place immediately. Got it.
Deadman tries to calm Adelia down because she's freaking out too. Turns out she feels a memory of an old book and some Latin-looking sounding language. Could be Latin, could be some other language, could be made up. Don't know.
The world may never know.
And after she swats Deadman away, he asks her, can't you see what's happening to you? And the Shadow consumes her Venom style. And it turns out she is the Shadow. And then she says, this house is death. And then starts attacking Nathan and screams, your fate is death. And it starts squeezing Nathan's head, which can't be helping his headaches.
No. I mean, come on. Ghouls just want to have fun.
And what's more fun than freshly squeezed head juice?
Yeah, like a zip.
It's just like Shrek. She just wants to squeeze the jelly from his eyes. Actually, it's quite good on toast. For a ghost.
For a ghost.
So while she's pulling a juicer from That's So Raven and squeezing his head, she's screaming, who do you think you are? You don't deserve to have lived as long as you have. Thankfully, Deadman pulls Adelia off of Nathan and she realizes that she is the Shadow. But before Deadman can get a hold of Adelia, she disappears. And Deadman doesn't really know how to go into the Shadow void place. So he's like, well, I don't know what to do now.
Well, I guess I see. Okay, bye.
Meanwhile, Sam and Berenice find some candelabras in the dark and light them. Sam again asks what the hell that was, and Nathan says it was an earthquake. But Berenice decides to finally come clean, and she admits to both of them that she sees dead people. I keep cashing in that quarter for as long as I can. Nathan thinks it's all dreams and hallucinations, but Sam believes her. Because, you know, the house went all nuts, Beetlejuice style, so something's going on.
At least they're attuned to stuff like that.
Yeah, and Sam is also very open-minded, and they say that just because they haven't experienced it or don't have definite proof, it doesn't mean that something isn't true. Which is hilarious because, like, they're in a comic universe, so basically everything's true.
Yeah, pretty much.
But Nathan is also having his worst headache yet. He doesn't want to leave the house yet. He just wants to go to the couch. And he interrupts Berenice when she says that there's something else going on here. And Nathan promises to Berenice that they can leave, but right now he just decides to rest on the couch. So Berenice leaves Nathan to rest and meets back up with Deadman and Sam. And Berenice is all like, well, that happened. Thankfully, Deadman is hopeful, which probably isn't easy to do when you're dead.
Nope.
Because they're finding out more about Adelia. And Berenice is feeling better too, since Sam believes her.
Which, again, is very cute.
Sam asks Berenice if she's talking to Adelia. Nah, it's just Deadman. She actually says, nah, it's just a guy named Boston. A dead man named Boston. Sam asks if there's more, and Berenice is all, not in this house, no. But there's an old lady that haunts your shop, and Sam actually recognizes that one as Mrs. Temple. But getting back on track, or rather Berenice getting back on track, says that Sam hasn't experienced the supernatural. However, it seems that they're tied to it. She explains to Sam how Boston possesses people, how he, for some reason, couldn't possess Sam, and how Sam's touch allowed Berenice to expunge Deadman, and how Sam's touch kept Adelia's fear from Berenice when Adelia turned into the darkness and went all Beetlejuice. Berenice asks Sam if they believe in fate, and they say that there are a lot of reasons people can be drawn together and how they can all be the right reasons at the same time. But Sam also says that when they first met Berenice, they knew somehow she would be in their life, and that made them so happy. Berenice says, "You have no idea what it means to hear you say that." Sam asks if Nathan is somehow connected, and Berenice says how his headaches seem to be connected to the activity, but he doesn't want to leave. Adelia changed after he proposed, so maybe that triggered a memory of Edward. Sam points out that Berenice didn't say yes, and then asks what the next step is to help these ghosts. And Berenice is all, next step for you is you're going home. Sam points out, A, they're immune to ghosts, and B, they are not leaving Berenice behind in a haunted mansion. So again, Sam asks, what do we do? And Deadman is all, yeah, I've been wondering that too. So they decide to explore the one room in the house Berenice hasn't been in, Nathan's study, and she took the key off of him when he fell asleep on the couch. Berenice calls out to Adelia and she reappears. Adelia warns them to stay away from her and that she's trying not to be a danger and that she'll do what she can to stay away. But Berenice says that if she does that, then she'll just be stuck here for who knows how long, and persuades her to take a chance to free herself. I mean, if you're stuck here for how long, then what? The Legion of Superheroes are going to help you? No, because no one writes about them.
No, because no one takes the time to write about them.
I shouldn't say that. The Legion of Superheroes do get books, and they do have their fans.
Fine.
Anyways, so the four of them enter the study, and it looks like Nathan decided to decorate in early Doctor Strange. Especially since the books on the shelves are about the dark arts and date back to the 19th, maybe even 17th centuries.
How did they get a picture of my bedroom?
Now, this isn't your bedroom. Not nearly enough anime posters.
And no dragons.
And no dragons. Which, I mean, seriously, if you're gonna study the dark arts, put in the extra time to learn about dragons. I mean, really. Oh, also, a bunch of those books are even in different languages. Adelia also says that the room feels familiar. And Berenice notices an open spell book on the table. But then Nathan shows up, and he's pissed because she's in his supernatural study and that she brought Sam.
Well, while you're taking a drink, I just thought of something really funny, and I can't believe I just thought of it. Ooh, don't die. I know we're talking about Deadman, but you don't have to do real life death.
Ultimate Deadman cosplay.
Anyway, I just noticed this and I just had a thought. So it's pretty funny that we're dealing with the supernatural and there's a character named Sam.
Yeah.
With the supernatural.
With a ghost, I know.
Too bad Dean's not there, man. Oh, well.
Oh, I was thinking Sam, Tucker, and Danny.
Oh! I was thinking Sam from Supernatural.
I was thinking Sam from Danny Phantom.
Well.
Shows how my mind works.
And it shows how my mind works. Comment down below what you thought, if you thought of anything. People who we can't hear.
Anyway, Nathan shows up and he's pissed because Berenice is in his secret supernatural study and that she brought Sam. Then he flips out, going on about how he thinks she's cheating on him with them, and about how I've ignored the looks you two give each other. I let you two have your time alone, whatever that looks like. And I'm just like, dude, don't be homophobic.
Yeah.
You're already an asshole.
Don't make it worse for yourself.
Anyway, while he's going on his little rant, Sam is all, whoa, none of that's going on. And Nathan, true to form, interrupts people before they can finish, which is one of my worst pet peeves.
Which, probably translate elsewhere,
Yeah.
in his life, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink.
Yeah, he's got a lot of shortcomings. And with this house, you think it's like Shrek. You think maybe he's compensating for something.
Mm-hmm.
Donkey. Then Berenice goes, wait a minute. I thought you were working on your book. And Nathan goes, that's not relevant. Easy to win an argument when you just deflect every question, huh?
Ping, ping, ping. That's how he wants to sound.
He's just dodging questions like he's got spider sense.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan says he'll overlook this and forgive Berenice if they all just leave now. Yeah, no, Berenice isn't having any of this. So she asks him, if you're so interested in the dark arts, why didn't you believe me when I said I could see ghosts? And Nathan says, I believed you. I just wish I knew earlier. And I'm like, what? And then Adelia freaks out, which gives Nathan a headache. So Nathan grabs a dagger and asks why didn't the last binding spell work, and starts swinging the dagger at Berenice, and he screams, what else has she told you? Then Sam grabs him by the arm and they fight. But then we hear a sluk. So the knife stabs someone, and right when you think it was Sam, you turn the page and it turns out it was Nathan, and he falls back and slumps back into the bookcase behind him. And then he gets back up.
Which poor books, because all that blood.
No. The blood's all in the front. I mean, to be fair, we don't see if it went all the way in.
That is true.
Anyways, after getting stabbed through the chest, he gets back up and he says, I've tried to take good care of my body and keep it out of danger, but it's good to know that my first spell still works. As long as the house still stands, so do I. And he pulls the knife from his chest, so, he could use it to stab again. Meanwhile, Deadman is trying to get Adelia to calm down and tells her to fight the fear, but again, she ain't scared. She's pissed. And she remembers everything, and she goes berserk and screams, my husband! Why, Edward? Why did you do it? And the house starts shaking all over again. Nathan says he won't let her end him, even if he has to kill Berenice and Sam to keep his secret. Now, Deadman promised not to possess Berenice, but he didn't give Nathan that courtesy. And as he possesses Nathan, Deadman realizes there are a lot of memories. Like, a lot of memories. Too many for any living person. And then we see Nathan in a bunch of different period outfits. So,
and no, he is not a cosplayer / theater kid just working on costumes.
/ secret biker. Because that one just looks like a biker from the 70s. That guy looks like a thug Deadman would fight in an old Deadman comic.
Listen, everyone goes through their phases.
Yeah. So, with Deadman possessing him and looking at his memories, we see Edward Ruskin spent his whole life fearing death. So he murdered his wife, buried her under Glenncourt Manor, and used the dark arts to grant himself eternal life and youth. Important distinction when you're making your deal with dark forces, because if you ask for eternal life, then you just get older and older and more wrinkly, and then it's just going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And you ask for eternal youth, then you can't get to see any of the good movies.
Yeah, you kind of have to have a middle ground where you're like, I could still be like, I could buy a drink at a bar, but yeah, I'm not going to wish for death because I'm basically dust.
He also apparently used the dark arts to finish the manor, because that's what it looks like what's going on in that one panel.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess in addition to learning the dark arts, he's also learned the dark crafts. Dark arts and crafts.
Dark arts and crafts. He's just very big into Halloween,
Yeah. And Edward would travel the world, never staying in one place for too long, so people wouldn't notice he didn't age, and return to Glenncourt to add additions to the house and make a new identity. So he's like our old friend Vandal Savage from our Batman Universe episode.
Mm-hmm.
I like to imagine that Vandal Savage also like knows about Edward. He's like, oh, Edward, I know that guy. He's an asshole.
It's like, even I think he's an asshole.
He always interrupted it. Whenever anyone else tried to talk, he'd always interrupt. So rude. Whenever me and the other immortals would have our like fancy parties and we'd sip wine and shit, he could never. He would always just interrupt. He's just an asshole. That's why we stopped inviting him.
That's why he doesn't get an invite to anywhere.
Yeah. That's why I only hang out with Ra's al Ghul. I mean, he's an asshole, but he doesn't interrupt me when I'm trying to talk. Sometimes I just want to go. Unga bunga, me miss good old days. But the other thing that Edward would do when he returned to Glenncourt was diminish Adelia. Because Adelia used to be stronger as a ghost, and her pain and anger constantly reverberated through him. And the spells would hold her back, force her into that void, prevent her from walking through walls. But over time, she began to feed on the dark energy that Edward kept on binding and infusing into the house, and becoming more immune to his spells. But we saw feeding off of dark magical energy kind of has a side effect, with her whole shadow form and split personality kind of thing going on.
Hey, when you're angry, that's basically what it looks like.
I mean, fair enough. But kids, don't do dark magic. This is your brain on dark magic. This is your soul on dark magic.
Yeah, don't do dark magic. Your soul will be eaten.
Yeah. And thus the cycle continued for however many hundreds of years. And as Edward became Paul, James, Gerald, and now Nathan. He was only planning on staying for a month, but even with more research, books, and spells, Adelia still fought back. And now here we all are. Deadman possessing Nathan spills the beans that Nathan is Edward. He also mentions how his headaches really are the worst and that Adelia is more powerful now, probably because she had Deadman's help to remember herself. Deadman tells Berenice and Sam to get while the getting's good. And he tries to calm Adelia down, but it didn't work the last time. And now he's using her murderer's mouth and face. So yeah, it's not really working.
I don't think that's good for anybody.
Yeah.
That's like emergent therapy, and that's just bad.
So she starts thrashing around Deadman in Nathan's body, and Deadman's all like, oh, wait, let me get out first. Let me get out. Let me get out. But she's...
I'll let you do it, but like, let me leave.
But I guess because she's also a ghost, it's like she's got her hand on him. It's like she's got her grip on both of them and he can't like get out. And so she starts thrashing around Deadman and Nathan's body, smashing up the room. And Sam is trying to get them and Berenice out of here and says to let the ghosts handle themselves. But then Berenice stops and starts burning the books. And Sam asks, "What are you doing?" Berenice says, "Nathan said as long as the house still stands, so does he. He didn't flinch when he got stabbed, and Boston and Adelia are stuck here because of all the spells he put on the manor. So she's going to bring the house down." And Sam is all, "But the furniture." And then she's like, "Sam, now!"
Sam, now's not the time. Go!
Sam, priorities. It's all the assholes' furniture anyways.
Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want to touch it.
Yeah, but we could sell it. We could sell the asshole stuff. I feel like that's a good compromise.
Gosh, keep it moving.
Deadman tries to get through to Adelia because while he's possessing Nathan, he can still feel everything. Deadman might be dead, but like while he's possessing, he can still get hurt and punched and stuff.
And hurt. Yikes.
And then she breaks for a second, recognizing him, but she's having trouble controlling her rage.
Ah, so she's like the Hulk.
Yeah. And she's got like split personalities too, so another thing like Hulk.
Hulk, but ghost version.
Yeah, Ghost Hulk. Spooky Hulk.
Spooky Hulk.
And fun fact, Hulk's no stranger to ghosts. Hulk has had to deal with the ghost of his asshole father.
Yeah, oh boy.
But anyway, back to DC. Back to the right universe we're in. Meanwhile, Berenice and Sam starting fires, and Berenice calls out to Adelia and says that the manor needs to fall, but she's not sure if just a fire can do it, but maybe together they can get the job done. Deadman apologizes to Adelia and says he shouldn't have asked her to control her anger. I feel like arguably in some situations it was applicable.
Yeah, kind of.
Like when she was attacking Berenice.
Yeah, just a little.
But Deadman does admit she should have lived a long, happy life and instead has had a longer, suckier death. She's been caged and deserves to be angry. And Edward has to pay for the time he took from her. And it's Deadman's job to make sure he pays. So Deadman manages to possess him while Adelia collapses the mansion. Thankfully, Sam and Berenice make it out okay, with Berenice even rescuing the bowl that Sam fixed. And Sam is all, "You stopped to grab the bowl?" And Berenice says, "It's been through enough."
I couldn't grab furniture, but you grabbed the bowl?
I mean, they should have grabbed that knight statue by them, or knight armor.
Yeah, they should have.
But knowing their luck, it'd probably pull a whole Black Knight from Scooby-Doo on them and come to life at night.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Deadman stays in Edward's body and leaves right when the fire surrounds him. And I just love it because when Deadman possesses people, they don't know what's going on. So 1 second, Edward's threatening to kill Sam and Berenice. The next minute, he's surrounded by fire and he's like, "What? Ah! Oh God, the fire!
Oh God, my house! Ah, my life!
Oh God, my skin! Oh God, my house! Oh God, my eternal life! Oh God, my toes!" So then Sam and Berenice look back and see a crater where the house used to be. Then they ask each other if they're okay. And then Berenice freaks out because they just committed arson and that the cops aren't going to believe Nathan was a murderer from the 19th century. And right when Berenice is all, "Okay, I'll take the blame. Hey, you could even say you tried to stop me." Sam tells her to stop and breathe and points out that Glenncourt Manor is gone. And it's like, it's not like no one person could do that.
That's something that, like, that's how a reaction to how, like, if something like that happened to us, you'd be freaking out and be like, "Listen, dude, it's okay. It's gone. Can't do anything about it."
If the cops ask, we just say house collapsed.
It could be like, infrastructure.
Yeah. Berenice says that she knew that Sam was meant to be in her life, which is something she said earlier, but I don't think I said it. And that she's glad that Sam is going to be in her life for a long, long time. And I'm happy too.
Aw, so cute.
And she also knew that she was never going to marry Nathan, since aside from being a murdering immortal psycho, all he really did was hold her back.
Which, don't let a man hold you back, ladies or gents.
Don't let a woman hold you back. Don't let your partner hold you back. Don't let them hold you back.
Nobody should hold you back from anything. Unless it's trying to kill someone, and that is wrong.
Even if they deserve it, I know. And while Nathan was an asshole, Sam showed her that there are people out there that will accept Berenice's true self, even if it took a while to find them. And again, Deadman could hook you up with the magic bar. Look, I know the owner. He's a talking chimp. He solves mysteries. You're going to love him. Berenice also notes, maybe it's time to open up to the living and the dead. Because if you ask me, the dead make good listeners.
They got nothing else better to do.
Yeah. So she tosses the ring that Nathan gave her into the crater, and she calls out to Boston and Adelia. And the two ghosts come shooting out of the crater, and Adelia is all, "Oh, this is fun. Is this what it's always like for you, Boston?" He was like, "Pretty much." And she's free. Adelia and Berenice each tell the other that they're glad they're okay. And then Adelia feels a great warmth, and Boston doesn't. Looks like only one of them's getting on that train. So Adelia says that she looks forward to seeing Boston again soon. And Deadman goes, "Soon? What's that for a couple of ghosts like us?" So she says that she won't say goodbye, but only goodnight as she fades away. And then there were three. Deadman says that he feels like a third wheel. Berenice jokes that tricycles are perfectly legitimate vehicles. And I love how Sam is just like, I don't think you know how weird it is to hear only one side of a ghost conversation.
I'm just here.
I'm just supportive. Living, dead, I don't care. Just be cool. Don't be an asshole. And Deadman tells her that the two of them make a cute couple, and Berenice blushes.
Which he is not wrong.
And I love it. I just love the idea of Deadman playing matchmaker. Like, oh, you think it's Cupid, but it's Deadman. But Deadman's deady senses are tingling, I guess, and he says he's sensing someone in trouble. Spider-Man has Spidey senses, Deadman has deady senses, I guess.
I guess.
I just made that up, so.
You heard it here, folks.
Deadman tells her good luck, and she says that he's welcome in if he ever needs anything. And Berenice also warns him to stay away from houses with their own names. And as Boston leaves, Berenice narrates that she couldn't remember anything when Deadman possessed her, but she has a whisper in the back of her mind, a remembrance of a dead man who is rarely seen or heard or recognized for himself, who questions his existence but not his purpose, a dead man who, when he hears the cry for help, does not hesitate to answer the call. And that's such a good description of Deadman. And also, it answers the question of, like, if when he possesses people, if they feel anything of him, and she does. And I love Deadman. The guy doesn't get enough credit. The guy doesn't get enough notoriety, but he's out there doing it.
Yeah, he is. I mean, I obviously had no idea that Deadman even existed, but I like the story. I'm very into spooky vibes right now because of October, so it's a great story to read during that time, and it's fun to learn about characters that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
But glad I do now.
Yeah, Deadman's a great character. I gotta remember to show you the Batman the Brave and the Bold episode he's in because he's just great.
Yeah, I would love to see it.
Oh yeah. I'm also surprised Deadman doesn't have his own standalone movie because he's comparatively one of the easier characters to like mimic. Because like we've had ghost movies before, and with Deadman, you only really gotta fake like two things. Like the ghost effects and the acrobatics.
It's probably because of the popularity, because you know how movies do things that are popular.
No, I'm aware, but I'm saying like Deadman as a standalone movie could work.
Yeah, I know, facts. I totally believe it because like the budget for effects wouldn't be that much.
Yeah. And especially since like we didn't get to really see it on display here because like when Deadman possesses people, he could use his acrobatic skill. Sometimes that includes like stopping like petty crimes, like you said earlier, like stopping gang members and beating up thugs and making sure the bodies he's in doesn't die because he usually like is like trying to take care of like one person or something. But he's got like a really solid premise.
He really does. Like, I'm surprised he doesn't have more things, but then again, we can only hope for so much.
It's also why I'm sad he's not on the Justice League Dark with Wonder Woman, because I'm like, let Deadman hang out with Wonder Woman. She's cool. Let Deadman have friends.
Nope, he's got to be alone.
But yeah, I'm glad I got to introduce you to him. He's a great character. There's just so much. I love side characters so much, and I wanted this to be our last episode for Halloween to like just showcase like a character that doesn't get that much credit, but like absolutely should.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
And a fun fact, I remember I got this whole collection of like 70s comics when he teams up with Batman. And Deadman actually possesses his still living brother who was taking on the role of Deadman in the circus act. And we had Boston Brand. His brother's name was Cleveland.
That I'm not surprised just because of his name, but also why?
I don't know, man. It's the 70s. Who knows what they were on back then?
That is true. So yeah, so that was Deadman, and we hope you enjoyed listening to us talk about it. And just as a reminder, always check out your local libraries and comic book shops, because without them, this podcast wouldn't even be possible.
If you would like to purchase this fine book for yourself, we will provide links in the description.
And also, don't forget that we have a Twitter, guys. we go tweet things. Go check it out. Go look. Go check it out. Go do it. Go do it. Go do it right now. I don't see you on your phone. Go do it. Do it. Do it right now. Right now. Did you subscribe to our Twitter? I don't see it.
Do it now. Arnold, how'd you even get in here? No, because I jogging.
Jogging on strangle. And with that, we will see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.